All right, good morning. We are about to start our driver experience webinar for the day. This will touch on the life and daily duties of a driver on the road with the ELD system. So first we'll touch on the prerequisites, what you will need in order to use the system. First things first, you'll need to be set up as a driver in your admin portal. If you are not set up and do not have driver credentials to log in on your tablet, just touch base with your admin and they'll be able to provide that information for you. Second thing, of course, you'll need to have your user ID and password in order to sign in on your tablet in order to utilize the ELD system. And then last of all, the device, which is the black GPS tracker, should be plugged into your truck, and vehicle should be running whenever you are attempting to use the tablet. What we'll cover on the ELD tablet training is going to be one, the ELD data service screen and what it pertains to, signing in for your shift, managing shipments and trailers, completing your DVIRs, making remarks and annotations in your system, status changes as well as rest breaks, and then we'll also touch on roadside inspections and then how to edit your logs at the end of day.
Because you said you had this problem last month as well, too, right?
We'll have a question answer section at the end of the presentation. If there is anything that I cover that you might want to have answered, just type in your question in the chat box. I will read out the questions at the end and we'll cover any answers if you have any questions for me.
All active and she ran her card, everything is good, and I apologize.
All right, so the first things first is going to be your ELD data service screen. This screen will appear whenever you turn your tablet on first thing, and this will basically give you your statuses of whether or not the device and the tablet are actually communicating with each other, and it will show you your vehicle information. So what you will see on your home screen on that ELD data service screen, if you are already paired up and connected with a tablet and the GPS tracker, it will display your vehicle ID. It will also have the device name. The device name is the serial number that is on that black box that is plugged into the truck. So if there's ever a question of whether you are connected to the right vehicle, just match up the serial number with the heartbeat T number that shows up for the device name, and that will tell you if you are actually connected with the correct truck as well as tracker. The next thing you'll notice, you've got your Bluetooth status. Our ELD system will only communicate with the vehicle tracker through Bluetooth. So as long as your device is connected via Bluetooth, your ELD system will work properly. So if you ever notice that you're not connected on Bluetooth, you'll need to restart your tablet, potentially restart the box in the truck, but they usually will connect as soon as they're in range. The next thing you'll notice is you have the engine status. This just tells you whether your engine is actually on or not. If you're in the vehicle and your engine's not showing that it's running, there could be an issue with the box. Just make sure you have that box securely plugged into your data port. And the next thing is the ECM status, which is whether it's connected to your electronic vehicle's computer. You'll notice at the top there is an ELD version. What I need to make sure everyone is aware of is that we are now on version 1.4.5. If you are not using that current status, please give us a call. We may have to push out the software update for you, but the easiest way to check to see if you have one available is to touch on the three dots in the corner, in the top right corner, and there's a check for updates option. You'll just simply click on that and it will check for that update. If it does not install for you, just give us a call so we can actually push that out to the vehicle tracker and tablet. If you scroll down a little bit on the ELD data service screen, you'll also notice that it does read your vehicle's odometer. So it will show the odometer reading. It will tell you what the engine hours are. It will also have date and time stamp, and it will give you your location, longitude, and latitude. It is also tracking your road speed as well as GPS speed, but those things are not really anything that you need to concern with. Everything that you're going to look for is going to be at the top part, just to make sure that your devices are connected and actually talking to each other. So when you are ready for your sign in for the day, you'll simply tap on the eFleet Suite button at the top. It'll be a gray box. You just tap on it and it'll take you over to your ELD, your ISE eFleet Suite screen. Once you're in the ISE eFleet Suite screen, you'll enter in your driver ID and your password that you were provided by your admin. Once you're logged in, it will then go into trying to retrieve your logs. So what it's going to do is going to try and reach out to ISE and pull down any log data that you've had over the past 7 days. If there is none, it will just say logs are up to date. Even if it pulls logs, it will just tell you that your logs are up to date, and it will give you any discrepancies that need to be fixed. So if you have an uncertified log, it will just simply tell you that, and later on in the shift, you can go in and certify your logs at your leisure. Once you show logs are up to date, you click on your OK button, and then it'll take you into the next screen where you'll choose your status for the day. It will display how many driving hours you're going to have available. Typically, you'll see that it starts you off with 8 rather than 11. That's just stating that you have 8 hours to drive before you're required to take your 30-minute break. All right, so once you're ready to sign in for your shift, you'll click on your status button. If you don't click on status, this will not sign you in. It will just log you completely back out. So just make sure that you actually click on the status and go to your sign-in screen. And then you should see at least 5 statuses that are available. 2 of them have to be actually given permission by your admin, and if they are, you'll notice that one of them is on YM and then off PC. Your on YM is your yard moves. If you are on duty and not utilizing drive time, if you're on a company yard where you need to move from one side to another, you use your on yard moves, and that will put you in an on duty status where you'll need to put a notation of why you're in that status, and it won't reflect against your 11 hours of drive time. The other one is going to be your off PC, which is an off duty status. This is so that you can use the vehicle for personal travel, whether you are on the road still and you need to go grab lunch, or if you're at home and you're on your 34-hour restart or even your 10-hour reset for the day, you can use the vehicle for your own personal use, but you cannot have a trailer attached, and you cannot be using it for any type of work. The other statuses that you'll notice you have are sleeper berth, your SB. This is just your off duty whenever you're going down for the night and you're going to crawl into the sleeper berth. You'll just choose that status. The other one is going to be an on not driver. The on not driver status is for someone who is team driving, and they are the second person that is not actually going to be driving. So any drivers that are on right now that are not team drivers, please remember that you will never use the on not driver status. Your status will always be on driver. This is to be used even if you're not going to drive the vehicle right away. This is to be used even when you're getting ready for your pre-trip. So instead of logging in as not driver and doing your 15-minute pre-trip, you'll actually use on driver, because you're telling the tablet that you're taking possession and taking control of that vehicle for a drive. Our system is designed to record all of your driving events automatically, just so long as you are in the correct status. So just make sure when you go into your on-duty shift, on driver is what you will use. All right, once you are in your on driver status, it will then confirm your vehicle information one more time. As long as that vehicle number is correct, you just hit OK, and it will take you to your next screen. The next screen that you're going to see is your managed shipments. So this is if you are about to do your pre-trip and you do have a shipment already that you're going to be going with, you'll then just enter in your shipment information in here and click on add, and it'll move that shipment number over into the left hand side of the screen. If you are running empty or unloaded, just skip that part. You can hit the next button and it will take you over to your actual inspection. So once you're into your inspection, it will have your odometer reading already pre-populated, as well as your location, city and state. All you have to do is just click on request DVIR and it will take you into your actual inspection report. For the DVIR, ours basically asks, are there any defects or no defects? If there are defects, you will click on your add defects and you'll type in all of the defect information, be as detailed as possible. This information will be uploaded through ISE to whoever does the maintenance for your vehicle. So if there's a maintenance department that has access to the web portal, they can see any DVIR that is uploaded, and they will be able to get the repairs needed prepped for when you're actually back on the yard, and they can work on your vehicle. If there are no defects, you'll hit the no defects option, and then the next screen that pops up will just ask, is the vehicle safe to operate? And if it is, you just hit yes and then done, and then it will take you into back to your home screen. Of course, if it's not safe to operate, then you've got some other things that you need to work on, but that's just going to upload all of that to your maintenance group so they can take a look at that and figure out what is the next step for the vehicle. All right, so once you are signed in and ready to go, you'll notice this is your home screen. You've got your several options across the bottom of the page, as well as your grid or not the grid, but an actual graph that shows your drive time. Again, this will populate the first 8 hours that you would have available before you're required to take your 30-minute break. And then once you've taken your 30-minute break, it will then provide the remaining drive hours that you'll have left for the day. If you notice on the top or across the left-hand side of the screen, it'll show if you have any active exceptions. It'll show your work shift driving hours, your work shift driving before you're required to take your 30-minute rest break, how many work shift hours you have, and then what your cycle duty is. For anyone that is brand new to using this, all of these options will actually just show NA for the first couple of weeks. That is normal. That's just because it has not established an actual log history electronically for you. And there's not a way to actually upload paper logs so that it continues on with what you've already driven for the week. So just so you know, the first 2 weeks you'll be required to use the e-log system and your paper logs just until it actually builds that database for you, and then it will display your hours. It will actually tell you when you gain time as well. So it will notice that you still have so much time left. If you're not taking a 34-hour reset, it will then kind of per diem more time to you every day. So just know that even when you do take your 34-hour reset, it may not display your full 70 hours. It will just kind of parcel that out on a daily basis. At the top on the right hand side, whenever you are about to start your day, you should see a rest break option. That's what you'll use for your required 30-minute break. Once you click on that, it will turn that button red, and then it will display the word stop break. So that's what you'll use whenever you come back on duty. Across the bottom here, you have your status button. This is in case you need to change from one status to another mid-shift. The next one is your options button. This options, as well as this little icon at the very top on the left-hand side, are the same. So if you are stopped by DOT and you need to pull up logs, you can find your roadside inspection option in here as well, and we'll touch on that. If you have another driver that needs to log in on your tablet, you just click on the plus driver and they'll sign in just the same way as you signed in for the first part when you first logged in for the day. For team drivers, the second driver will just go into on not driver. Of course, that's just stating that you are on duty, but you're not taking possession of the vehicle. And it's not going to log any of the first part of the driving against you and your hours. Your second set of buttons across the right-hand side, you've got your manage shipment button. If you need to change up the shipment number or remove a shipment, you can go in here and it'll actually give you the option to remove a shipment or add a shipment. Same setup for the trailers button at the bottom. If you need to remove one or add one, you just click on the trailers button and it'll open up the same page. The manage trailers and manage shipment both have the same options. They look the same. One just says manage shipment, the other just says manage trailers. The next one you have is your logs. So if you need to actually view your grid, this is where you'll go. This is also where you will go in to certify logs. So if you need to go in and certify any of your past logs, you can go into the logs option at the bottom and it will take you in so that you can certify any logs up to the past 7 days. The tablet will give you access to your last week's worth of logs for any US based drivers, 14 days if you are a Canadian based driver. Next option is your DVIR. So if you are picking up a shipment and you need to do another inspection, you'll click on the DVIR button and it will process the same DVIR where it has your odometer reading already pre-populated as well as the city and state. And then you'll do the same thing. If there's any defects, you just add those defects in. If there are no defects, you simply just choose the no defects option and you can go on about your day. I did mention that our system is set up to record driving events automatically. So if you are in the correct status and everything is functioning properly, whenever you drive, it states 5 miles per hour over 5 miles per hour or more, the tablet will lock. However, I believe it's actually based on the RPMs, not so much the speed. So once your vehicle actually revs to what would equate to 5 miles per hour, the vehicle will show in motion, the tablet will lock. All of your other options will go away so that you can actually use the tablet while you're going, and it will start then counting against your drive time that's available. And this will happen automatically. Once you stop, the vehicle will, of course, detect that the vehicle's not in motion anymore. It will unlock, and then your options will they will show right back up at the bottom again. All right, so for status changes and your rest breaks, again, whenever you're ready for your first required 30-minute break, you'll click on the rest break button across the top right, and then you'll notice that it turns red and has stop break. Once you do that, it's going to put you in an off-duty status. So you'll see that on your grid as an off-duty event. That's just how we log your rest breaks so that it does not count against drive time or your shift time. Once you're ready to go back on duty, you'll click the stop break button, and then it'll pop up the status box again, just checking on which status you actually need to go into. Again, if you're going right back on duty to drive again, you're going to go back on driver, and it will record all your driving events. Unless you need to go into on yard moves or off PC or sleeper berth, or even on not driver if you're a team driver and you're about to kind of set out and let the other person take over, you'll just switch which driving you're going to go into. All right, so for your roadside inspections, if you need to pull your logs for DOT, you're just go into options and you can use the I don't know what that icon is actually, or the options button at the bottom, and this is what will show up. So you'll see where you can edit your vehicle ID, you can review your logs, you can request logs. If you need to request logs, so if at the beginning of your shift you started and you logged in and you did not have mobile network coverage and it was not able to pull any logs, you'll just click on the request logs once you have mobile coverage again, and it will then go back in and reach out to ISE and pull back the last week's worth of your driving logs to the tablet so that they are available for display. The next one is going to be your take exceptions option. This is if any kind of emergency happens where you are no longer required to abide by the SA guidelines for drive time and shift time, you'll go into take exception, and then you'll have to state exactly what the exception is for. If you scroll a little further, you've got diagnostics and then roadside inspection. The diagnostics information will tell you, again, kind of what was on the white ELD data service screen. And this is just looking at not the vehicle diagnostics, but are you connected through ECM? Are you connected on Bluetooth? Do you have mobile network coverage? It will kind of give you a pass-fail of all of those options of whether they're actually working properly or not. So if you have any problems and you need to check on your tablet just to see if it's communicating properly, you can go into diagnostics and it'll run those for you and tell you whether they've passed or failed. The next one is roadside inspections. This, of course, is if you're at a way station or stop by DOT and they need to see logs, you'll click on your roadside inspection and it'll bring up your current day's grid. So if they need to just view it, they can view it, and they can also go back, of course, up to the last 7 days worth of electronic logs that are on your tablet. They'll be able to see your grid, and if they need more detail about the events, you can go into events, and it'll actually give you a breakdown of each event, what time that you went into them, so that they can get a more detailed look at the logs. Just so you know what each one of these is, obviously you've got home, but of course the bottom you have data file transfer. If they need you to upload your logs to FMCSA's web portal, you'll have to go in and do a data file transfer. For the comment, the officer will provide you their officer number. You'll put that in the comment, and it will send the request to ISE, which will then grab the logs and send them over to the DOT officer, and it will attach with their badge number or their ID number so that it gets directly to them. The requests usually take just a few minutes, so they should be able to review those logs. If they need to get on the FMCSA website and go back and review your logs, that shouldn't take long. The process should maybe take 10 minutes max, if I'm not mistaken. They'll have that information. If they are just looking at it on the tablet, all you have to do is just pull your grid, and then you can go into events. And in the events, it will give a date and time stamp for each event change. So if you're driving, it will show what time you started and what your location was when you first started driving. And then it will go into every other status change from then on. If they need to see your DVIR, you can go into DVIR and they can pull up all of your last 7 days worth of DVIRs just so that they can make sure that the vehicle was safe to operate every time you did your walk. If they need to see details of your company, this is actually where they'll go to. So the details will show, of course, your company's name. If they have their DOT number in there, it'll display the DOT number. It will also have your terminal information, so it'll have the terminal's address. It will also tell what kind of driver you are, so it will display whether you are a passenger carrying, a property carrying, sales, oil field. It will give those descriptions. It'll also tell them whether you are under the 11 hours driving, 14-hour shift, and 60 or 70-hour work week. So if they need to get any kind of detailed information, they can also pull that from the details, and that'll display all of that information for you. Just so you know, whenever you're in the events option, this is actually how events will look. So it will start this all in chronological order. It date and time stamps each status change or remark or event, any diagnostic event that pops up on the tracker. It will display that in that list as well. So here we're going to cover annotations and remarks. So the difference is the annotation is what you will type in. So if you status change into yard moves or personal conveyance, it's going to require that you make an annotation as to why you're changing into that status. So you'll just simply type in whatever memo you have to put in on the annotation box, and it'll save that and it'll attach it to the same status change. So it will show for your yard move the city and state, the time that you went into it, is it an active event, and then it'll have your comment, whatever you put in there, what the reasoning for the status change was. This is also used for anyone who has to stop for when you stop for fuel. If you're required to put in any information for your fuel stops, where your location was, what your mileage is, the time, anything like that, you'll simply go into your logs button, and then you're going to go into events. Once you're in events, you're going to find that event that you need to make the annotation on. So because it's in chronological order, you're going to have to scroll a little bit to find the very last event. Once you find that last event, if you highlight it, it will turn gray, and there will be a plus annotate button that comes up. You'll click on that plus annotate, and then you'll get the dialog box that you can type into. Once you type in whatever note you do, you just submit it, and then it saves it and attaches it. Going back to the difference between the annotation and the remarks that you will see will be device related. So these are automatic remarks that are added to your logs. So if there is ever a loss of power on the tablet, it will make a remark on there just to show the time and what the remark was. If you lose connection to Bluetooth, it will make a remark. If there's any kind of diagnostic event with the GPS tracker in the truck, it will log that event for you as well. Just so you know, they're not any diagnostic events related to the actual truck or the truck's maintenance. This is just the communication between the truck's tracker, the tracker that's plugged into the truck, and the tablet. These are the only diagnostics that you'll really ever see on your logs. All right, so log verification and certification. Um, we recommend that you certify your logs on a daily basis, just in case there's ever anything that comes up where you're stopped and you need to show an updated log, especially if there were any kind of incidents or errors that occurred previously. You want to make sure that these are certified so that any errors can be updated and corrected on a daily basis rather than weekly. So in order to certify logs, you're going to, on your home screen, you're going to go under logs. Once you're in logs, it'll display your grid, and at the end of the day, you'll see the certify button on each one of them. Again, because on your tablet, you can only display the last 7 days worth of actual logs, you're only going to be able to certify up to 7 days worth of logs on the tablet. Anything that goes further back than 7 days would actually have to be done on your driver portal, which I'm going to briefly touch on, but every driver should have access to a driver portal. They'll have to go to their respective company's portal, log in with their driving credentials, and it will show you your driver page, and you'll be able to see what that looks like. I'll show you that shortly. The information for that you'll have to get from your admins, though. So whenever you're ready to certify your log, you're going to tap on the certify button, and then there's going to be a dialog box that pops up that requires your password. This is basically just stating that 24-hour period you're certifying that those records are correct and true. Now, one caveat to that is if you do have to edit any of logs, if there's anything that was incorrectly logged and you need to go back and change that, you must certify your logs first in order to go back and verify, or in order to actually make any edits to the logs. So please note, just certify your logs even if it is incorrect, but you're going to go back later and actually jump on your own driver portal, because you can edit your own logs. You're going to go certify your logs, and then you're going to go back in and actually make whatever changes that need to be made, and then recertify after with the corrected information. One last thing, at the end of your shift, when you go to sign out, your tablet will prompt you for another DVIR, another inspection report for the end of night. If you are not prompted to do that, you might want to check your tablet's connection, but it should prompt you for a DVIR at the beginning of your shift and at the ending of your shift. All right, I've got a short 2-minute video that I'm going to play, which will go over how to edit the logs on the web portal. I'm not going to actually cover the web portal on this webinar. We're only going to cover what's done on the tablets. But if you need to get assistance with the actual driver portal and how to edit logs, we have our Tuesdays and Thursdays driver or topic specific webinars that will cover getting on your driver portal as well as the admin portals and how to edit logs, how to certify, as well as a few other more detailed things for the ELD system.
As a driver, you are responsible for your logs. If you need to make edits to an event, please log into the driver portal using a computer. You will use the same login credentials that you used for the tablet. Once you log into the portal, go to the HOS section in the main menu and click and select driver logs. Select the date of the log you need to edit. And then click on View Logs. Scroll down to the Logs event list and look for the event you need to make an edit on. You can edit an event, add a note to an event, or delete an event. Clicking on the plus icon adds a note. Clicking on the trash can icon deletes an event. In this case, we're going to click on the pencil icon to make an edit on an event. After finishing your edits, click on the Save button to save the changes. After saving the changes in the event, you must click on the Certify button. A window will open verifying you're agreeing to the certification of the logs. Make sure to click on the Agree button to agree to the certifications. Remember, if you are an owner, operator, and have both admin and driver access to the portal, be sure to log in with your driver credentials to edit your own driver logs. As a driver.
Okay. All right, so now we will move into our question answer portion. If there is anything that was covered that you might need me to go back over, please let me know so I can cover it again. Or if there's any questions, go ahead and start to send those in. Right now I'm going to cover what we have for our other webinars. So our Tuesdays and Thursdays, we offer for the drivers how to certify and edit your logs on the driver portal. We have for the drivers and admins how to accept the edits on the tablet because there is another step whenever the admin goes in and makes any edits to a driver's logs. There's an actual added step that the driver has to go through in order to get it approved and recertify logs. For the admins, we also cover how to export and download logs. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, our driver experience course, just going over a day in the life of a driver. If you have any other questions that might need to be covered offline, just submit those to support@linxup.com. If there's any kind of specific issues that you're having, you can send the email, and it would be myself or a member of my support team that will reach back out to you to help you out with any issues that you might be having or answer any questions you might have. On the for our Q&A, if there is anything that you are seeing, maybe a generalized question or something that you need to that's just a concern for you, please submit it now while we've got the time, and I can answer any questions. And if we need to do a one-on-one offline, then I can definitely with you guys as well.
Okay. Right. And that way, just like I said, I'm not sure how our Oklahoma team has to do that kind of thing. So let me go ahead and get this one off of your. It'll just exactly it just picks it up. Yeah. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it should. It shouldn't be a problem, but. And the one that we're deleting, is it just because you're not using it? You don't need it? Oh. Alright. Gotcha.
All right, I'm going to stay on for another minute or two in case there's a question that comes through.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I went ahead.
And if not, we'll go ahead and wrap this webinar up.
So that one is gone. And if you refresh your page, you'll see that it's gone. And then we will get that tablet ordered for you and let me